Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this Christmas holiday horror movie review video as part of my current December 2023 series. So today we're going to take a look at kind of a remake um, of a sort of a cult favorite Christmas horror movie from the mid 80s. And of course, that movie is Silent Night, Deadly Night from 1984. And then it does have four sequels plus a remake. And today we're going to take a look at the remake, which I added to my collection recently, and that is Silent Night from 2012 with Malcolm McDowell. So yeah, like I said, it says that this is a remake, but well, we'll get into my thoughts on that when we get into my review here. But yeah, the Silent Night from 2012 is the movie we're going to take a look at today. So first time watch, obviously, just added it to my collection earlier this month. So Silent Night is a 2012 slasher film directed by Stephen C. Miller and starring Malcolm McDowell, Jamie King, Donal Logue, Ellen Wong, and Brendan Fear. Brendan Fear, Fehr. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's a remake of Charles E. Celia Jr.'s 1984 film Silent Night, Deadly Night, and the sixth installment in the Silent Night, Deadly Night film series. The film was given a limited theatrical release on November 30th, 2012, and was released on DVD and Blu ray disc on December 4th, 2012. So basically, the film opens. A mysterious man dresses in a Santa Claus suit, complete with a mask. Once dressed, Santa captures and kills Jordan, a deputy sheriff in the small town of Cryer, Wisconsin. Jordan is sleeping with the married Elena Roach and is electrocuted with Christmas lights in his home. The following day, Christmas Eve, Cryer Sheriff Cooper calls Deputy Aubrey Bradamore in on her day off when Jordan doesn't arrive for work. Aubrey is a new addition to the sheriff's office and is still reeling from the unexpected death of her husband, John. She doesn't think she's a good deputy and is trying to live up to her father, who's a retired sheriff. Aubrey was going to spend the holiday with her parents, but instead goes out to check on Jordan, finding his mangled body and Roach, who was dismembered later in the day. Sheriff Cooper decides not to tell Mayor Revy until the case is solved. Meanwhile, the masked Santa killer goes on a murder spree, killing those who have done something he considers naughty. His next victim is a bratty teenage girl who he kills with a cattle prod. He then makes his way to the local motel, murdering two of three people during a softcore porn shoot. One woman manages to escape and tries to hide inside a Christmas tree farm, but the killer chops off one of her legs and throws her feet first into a wood chipper. So yeah, that's the setup and the premise for Silent Night from 2012. As far as the cast goes, we have Malcolm McDowell as Sheriff James Cooper, Jamie King as Aubrey Bradamore, Donal Logue as Jim Epstein or Santa, Ellen Wong as Brenda, Lisa Marie as Hillary Morwood, and Courtney Jane White as Tiffany Revy. Mike O'Brien as Stein Carson slash Santa. So yeah, there's a few Santas in this movie, but that's to set up the premise and the cast for the 2012 remake Silent Night. Now, like I said, it's a remake on paper, but it's not really a remake to Silent Night, Deadly Night. I kind of thought that it was going in, um, but it's really not. It's its own story. It certainly takes cues and it certainly plays homage to the original. It's not completely without some merit, but it's a different story. It doesn't follow the same characters, but it does have some of the same sort of quips and Easter eggs and things like that. So I have to say, I actually really enjoyed this movie. Now, I really like Silent Night, Deadly Night from 1984. I do think there's people out there that like it more than I do, especially as a holiday Christmas horror movie. It's not one of my top five favorite holiday horror movies, if I'm being honest. But I do love the 80s charm of it, and I love it as a slasher. I actually think it works. I think it's better as a slasher movie to me than a Christmas horror movie. Even though it is a Christmas horror movie, but you know what I mean. It works better for me as just a straight up 80s slasher. Um, that being said, I really like this one. Yes, it's different story, different characters. Um, kind of, it was made in 2012, so you're talking about what, like 30 years after the original, basically. But I enjoyed it. I was engaged in it. I enjoyed it. Let's just go ahead and get into what I liked about the movie. And the first thing I'll say, you can't talk about this movie without talking about the kills. That was the first thing that stood out to me. And I was really impressed with the kills because it's not just stab, stab, stab with a knife. We see a lot of slasher movies like that and a lot of good slasher movies. But it's good to see kills that are more original, that are different, that sort of uses the objects or things around them, especially as it relates to the holiday that this movie takes place in. I like that when they use those things for kills, like using Christmas lights to strangle somebody. I mean, that's been done in other movies too, but I just think that those make for better kills, especially for Christmas horror movies, than just stabbing someone with a knife. So I had a lot of fun with the kills, very unique and original executed kills that weren't just slash, 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 as I said. There's one involving a wood chipper and a cattle prod electrocution. Those two really stood out to me. And then we get a homemade flamethrower as well throughout this movie, especially in the third act. And they're all just really different and unique. And I thought they really added something to this movie. So the kills are the first thing that I have to bring up that I really like. There also, if you're a gore hound out there, you'll like this movie because there is a ton of blood and gore in this movie. Most of it is believable and therefore practical. There's some that doesn't hold up quite as well. It's a little bit more computer generated, it appears, but for the most part, a lot of blood and gore in this movie based on the kills and sort of the aftermath of kills. I believe all the kills are on screen as well. I don't think there's any cutaways that I can remember, so I appreciate that as well. But yeah, very very gory. It's definitely going to satisfy the gore hounds out there. But it also isn't just there for gore's sake. I didn't feel like. I think it helps to show the brutality of this killer and how off his rocker he is. And therefore, it raises the stakes for our main characters that we get behind in this movie. So I felt like the gore was well placed here. Excuse me. So that's another thing that I really liked about the movie. Um, I appreciate the fact that this movie isn't a shot for shot remake. One thing I don't like about remakes are when aka Psycho, when it's basically just a modern day shot for shot remake with worse characters and worse acting. And it happens to be in color in the case of that movie. I just doesn't do anything for me. It's what's the point? Why make a shot for shot remake? And this movie definitely isn't. Like I said, it takes from the first movie. It pays homage to the first movie. It has little Easter eggs and things. But it's its own movie, and I like that about it. I think that just sits well with me. It just sits right with me. So I appreciate the fact that it's not a shot for shot remake. Does pay homage with some of the kills and some of the scenes in the movie, even some things that are said. Ultimately, it does its own thing, though, with a completely and somewhat interesting story. I don't think the story here is completely. It's not completely original. We've kind of seen things like this before, but at the same time, it's unique enough for this movie to be effective, in my opinion. So yeah, I like that about it. Um, I enjoyed and was really on board with some of the main characters here. Really, three that stand out to me: Aubrey, Cooper, and Epstein. Those are the three characters that I really thought did well in this movie. That I really got behind his characters, and for different reasons. Um, I thought they all brought something to the story in this movie. Aubrey had a pretty good character arc. She's got kind of a backstory where she lost her husband, and she just recently became, I think, like um, a deputy. Was it a deputy that she is? Yeah, deputy. And she's unsure about herself as a deputy. She's trying to follow in her father's footsteps. So she kind of starts the movie off as being hesitant, not really sure this is for her. And then she has a nice arc by the end of the movie. Of course, mostly because she has to save her own life. She has to have that arc. But I liked her. I was behind her as a character. And then you have the humor and sort of the relatable truths that are laid on us by Epstein. Even though he kind of comes off as a dick for most of the time he's on screen, he has one. There's one load of dialogue he gives when he's in a jail cell, though, that really describes a lot of people's feelings on Christmas, where everybody thinks that Christmas is so wonderful and great. But it's a reminder there's a lot of people out there that it's a reminder of pain from the past or a certain pain they're experiencing now. They don't have anybody to celebrate it with. So I thought he really laid down some truth. And I thought I thought the actor Donal Logue, I think is how you pronounce it. I thought he did a great job playing that character. Like I said, a little bit of a dick, but I think I still liked him. I still kind of got behind that character because of what he represented. And then you have the fun and sort of eccentric kick-ass and Cooper, of course, played by Malcolm McDowell, a little bit over the top. Um, Sheriff, where he's ready to kick some ass and make people pay for what they've done, kind of thing. I think a little bit more out there than a normal sheriff would be in a small town. But so I got behind those three characters for sure. And on that point, I thought the acting was pretty good by those three as well. Jamie King, Malcolm McDowell, and Donald Logue. I thought they did a good job acting in this movie and portraying those characters. Um, Let's see. I really like the look of the killer as well. That's something I got to bring up. I like, obviously he's in a Santa suit, but then he's also got this plastic mask that he cuts to fit on his face and make it work with the Santa outfit, and it's really effective. Quite honestly, I thought it was creepy and effective at the same time for this kind of holiday horror movie. So yeah, I was a big fan of the look of the killer, even though it's a pretty simple look. It was really creepy and effective, as I said. And then finally, you can't talk about this movie or any holiday Christmas horror movie without talking about the atmosphere and the decor throughout the movie. I waited till last on this one because I didn't want it to be the first thing I bring up in each of these reviews, but it's really fantastic in this movie. There's a lot of Christmas atmosphere and decor going on throughout the movie. Everything from Christmas trees to lights to just all kinds of other decorations. You got music, people singing music, music playing in the background. Movies also got a good score, I felt too. And then you even got snow, some falling snow, like in flashback scenes in the second and third acts of the movie. So yeah, this has everything I want from a Christmas atmosphere and letting you know what time of the year you should be watching this movie and or what time of the year it takes place in anyway. So yeah, those are my pros for Silent Night from 2012. Really enjoyed it. As far as some cons, it's definitely not a perfect movie. Getting back to the characters, there are quite a few throwaway characters that are just kind of there, either for exposition dump or possibly red herrings that don't really land or serve the purpose that they're going for all that successfully. Namely, everybody else but the three that I mentioned would fit into this category. So yeah, the side characters not great. I also felt like now this is a movie that the kills are very serious. There's at times a serious dramatic. There's some drama going on with some family stuff and losing a husband and all that. But with all that being said, there's also some comic relief, some humor that's thrown in here. Um, Especially from Malcolm McDowell. And then there was another deputy there. I forget his name. I think it's Giles, Deputy Giles in the movie. They're kind of they kind of provide most of the humor in the movie, if you want to say, with things they say and do, some of the one-liners they have. But I have to be honest, the humor I kind of felt was out of place in this movie. Not the whole time, but some of the scenes, some of the times they tried to push the humor didn't always land for me. And I actually thought it kind of took away and was distracting from certain instances in the movie. So that's one thing that I noticed that I didn't really like that much. And then my final con, um, the ending I thought could have been stronger. And I'm talking about the very end, like the last couple minutes of the movie. So you have sort of the resolution, if you will, and then it kind of cuts forward to later, like a couple days later, whatever it is. I'm not sure, and basically that scene is there just for an exposition dump where we get a character that reminisces on basically the backstory of why the killer did this, why who he is, all those kind of things. um, those aren't necessarily things that I need explained to me, especially in the way that they did it, and the ending kind of does that. So I wasn't a big fan of that. It's basically there just to explain to the audience about the killer so they don't get a lot of people after watching this movie like, well, who was it? We never found out and stuff. And there's ways to do it that I think are more effective. So I wasn't a big fan of that either. But overall, guys, I have to say I really enjoyed this movie. I wasn't really sure what to expect. All I knew it was sort of a remake based on Silent Night, Deadly Night from 1984. And having watched it, it's really not that much of a remake. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's its own movie, which I like. while still borrowing and paying homage to the original, which I do like the original. But like I said, there's other people that I think love it more than I do. But I really like Silent Night from 2012. I'm definitely glad to have this in my collection, and I could see this being an every year Christmas watch as well. So I'm actually going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I just really enjoyed the kills, those main characters, the score, the gore, just kind of everything about it. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10 for Silent Night from 2012. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen this movie, what you think of it. Please like this video, hit the little notification bell down below so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews for this series. And please be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my great horror content, especially the first 6 months that I have planned out. And we'll have a video explaining some of that at the end of this year for 2024. So I hope everybody's doing well, having a good holiday season. We're almost there. We're almost to Christmas for those of you that celebrate. But I hope you enjoyed this review and you're enjoying this series. And of course, as always, stay scared. Bye.